Hey everyone, you're listening to my podcast titled Suchitra's Life, and it's me, Suchitra. Do you know that India is the country with a maximum number of women pilots in the world? Well, in a tweet, the Union's Civil Aviation Minister Hardeep Singh Puri said that Indian carriers employ close to 12.4% of women pilots. India actually tops in the proportion of women pilots than any other nation, which is much higher than the world average of 5.4%. Today, I have with me Anagha Balasubramanian to give us more insights about aviation industry and how one could go about making it in the industry. So let's get started.
Hi, Anagha. How are you?
I am fine. I'm doing well. Hope you're doing well.
Yeah, I'm good too. And thanks a lot for doing this with me today. So,
And thank you for giving me an opportunity to express my views.
sure. Thank you. So, Anagha, let me start off by asking what fascinated you about aviation? Like, what was the pull towards that?
For me, my personal experience would be the first time I saw an aircraft flying, a jet aircraft flying. That's when it kind of pulled me towards the industry. Though I did not fix my mind to start with the flying, but yes, that was my first experience.
All right. Okay. So, can you give a brief about your education as to what qualifications are required, to become a pilot here in India, especially?
Okay, here in India, as per DGCA standards, DGCA stands for Directorate General of Civil Aviation.
Mm-hmm.
So, as per their requirements, a pilot would need higher secondary, that's 10 plus 2, with max physics chemistry as their mainstream, and with 50% aggregate. That's the
Okay.
requirement.
All right. All right. So, like, can you take me through your journey of getting this license? Like, how hard it was for you, or like, how was it for you?
Okay, so coming to the journey, I started my flying very early. As soon as I completed my higher secondary, I started my flying. I did my entire training in Hyderabad Begumpet Airport. So it took me approximately 1 year and 8 months to complete the entire 200 hours of requirement and other regulations that are as prescribed by DGCA. So yeah. So in the initial stages itself, it was very clear that I was going to do flying. So I opted for it very early. And after completing my flying, I went on to do my masters. So after completing everything, recently I did my multi-engine rating because that is a prerequisite for doing 320 type rating. Then after that, I went on for my type rating. So the journey is very yeah, started very early, I would say.
Sure. Yeah. Right. So, it usually women are kind of trolled for the way they drive cars. Like you see a lot of memes coming up, like women bashing cars into, some pillars or stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So, with this kind of notion, how hard it is for women to make it in the aviation industry? The notion is such that women can't drive.
The notion I would say it is there as a passenger. If you see some passengers coming in, seeing a women pilot, they have some kind of a stigma attached to it, I would say. But as such, the industry is not, industry is very welcoming and they are very inclusive. And there are a lot of women commanders who are flying the aircraft, and we will have men, sitting on the right seat and flying an aircraft. So this industry is totally different because it's completely SOP driven, and the kind of training that's given, there is no men, women, all that, comes,
Mm-hmm.
when you get inside the cockpit.
Okay.
So probably that's one of the reasons why it is so inclusive, I would say, and especially in India. Statistically speaking, India is one of the countries where the women pilots, the population is more,
Yes.
as
Yes.
as compared to the world. So that is something which is very encouraging.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Industry-wise, you will not have any problem. People are very inclusive, but yeah, from outside, yes, that is there. That stigma is still there.
Mm-hmm. So, let me just ask this quick question. You just said that when you sit in the right side of the seat, so
Mm-hmm.
is that person the commander of the pilot? I mean, the aircraft?
No, the first officer, otherwise the co-pilot, will be sitting in the right seat. Left seat is always taken by the commander, the pilot in command.
Oh, okay, okay, okay. I got that. So, uh, so how many hours of practice are required to get your license?
Okay, as per DGCA standards again, we would require 200 hours of flight time,
Mm-hmm.
and those 200 hours of flight time will be split into, based on the type of aircraft you're doing, whether you're going to be instrument rated or whether you're going to do multi. So based on those criteria, you will have specific hours to complete.
Mm-hmm.
When I say specific hours, that would mean these many hours of solo time, these many hours of instrument time,
Mm-hmm.
these many hours of cross country, these many hours of flight, night flying.
Mm-hmm.
So this is how the 200 hours is split into. So if you want, you
Oh,
can, if you're planning well ahead before training, you can do your multi also within the 200 hours. I
oh,
mean multi engine.
yeah, yeah, that is like really
Mm-hmm.
interesting. So you just use this term instrument rating. Can you
Mm-hmm.
expand a little more about it?
Instrument rating would mean that basically we have two types of flight rules. One is the visual flight rule, and the other one is the instrument flight rule. So usually during the training period, we'll be mostly flying visually. That is, we'll be sticking to visual flight rules, which in other words means you will be visually flying the aircraft. You will be having prominent features as landmarks, and you will be maintaining your own separation between other aircrafts and all that.
Mm-hmm.
But when you start flying for an airline or something like big jets and all, which is flying at higher altitude, you will need to have an instrument rating. Even otherwise, even during the training period, for example, say the weather conditions are not
Mm.
good or something like that, you will have to rely on instrument. So
Okay.
basically, it's relying completely on the instruments, and you will not have, you will be forced or you'll be put in a situation where you can't even see what's happening outside.
Oh.
So in order to read the instrument and also fly the instrument precisely, you will be given certain training on like how an instrument behaves,
Mm-hmm.
how what would you do if you're carrying out a missed approach procedure,
Mm-hmm.
because it's not like all the aircrafts are just going to come right in front of the runway, align itself, and then
Yeah.
land, right?
Yeah.
They'll be coming from all directions, and they have to maintain the separation. So there's a specific way that aircraft will come, go outside, I mean outbound, like going out of these station or coming inside the station. So in both the ways, there are specific procedures. We call it SIDS and STARS, standard into instrument departure, standard arrival. So there's a specific procedure that we need to follow. So those aspects will be purely, completely, based on instruments. One of best example that I can give you is the Cat 3 landing, where the aircraft can come and land with up to 50 feet. It can land without any visual reference.
Mm-hmm.
So for that, all those aspects of flying are totally, totally dependent on instrument. So
Okay.
only an instrument-rated pilot will be eligible or is allowed to fly an instrument, flight,
Mm-hmm.
carry out an instrument flight.
Okay. So this was about instrument rating. So
Mhm.
what about type rating? That that's like a in layman terms, if you could tell us.
Type rating will be on specific aircraft.
Mm-hmm.
Especially the requirements will be given by the specific manufacturers.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, like Airbus, Boeing, ATR, Bombardier, or Embraer, they will have there are a lot of aircrafts. Just to give you a few, prominent or very very famous aircraft, these are the most prominent aircrafts.
Mm-hmm.
And all over the world, you will have Boeing and Airbus. They are dominating the sky right now.
Okay.
So most of the passenger aircraft, if you see, it's all Boeing and Airbus manufacturers.
Mm-hmm.
So those type rating are prescribed by the manufacturers. They will give a prescribed way, the standard which has to be followed,
Mm-hmm.
and you will be type rated on that particular aircraft
Okay.
based on their requirements.
Mm-hmm.
And type rating is very important if if you really want to have if you want to really end up in an airline.
Mm-hmm.
It will give you a boost, apart from having CPL, clearing other papers and all. Like, having a type rating will always give you an upper hand.
Yes, yes. So both type rating and instrument rating are
Mhm.
subject to renewal, right?
Yes, everything in aviation is subject to renewal. Instrument rating, you will get it when you're getting your CPL. Most of the pilots are instrument rated.
Okay.
So it's not a separate license as such.
Mm-hmm.
It's just an, I would say, an extension. So what happens is in your CPL you will have a particular portion where this is instrument rating will be mentioned. The
Oh.
validity will be mentioned. When is the instrument check done?
Mm.
It's valid for 1 year. So the 1 year period will be mentioned.
So okay, so instrument rating is like valid for 1 year.
Yeah.
And what about type rating? Like it's for different aircrafts, right?
Yeah, type rating will be valid for 3 years.
Okay.
Post 3 years, you will have to do your renewal. That would include few sessions in the simulator,
Mm-hmm.
which will again include one IR check and other general, sorties, whatever is prescribed again by the type rating manufacturers. And then, based on that, your licenses will be renewed again for another 3 years.
Oh, okay. That's a pretty, intense process.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And coming to women pilots, let me just focus on women pilots a bit here. What kind of fitness level do you think a woman should have in order to get into this industry?
Fitness, I would say, be it women or men, I would say they medical standards will require them to maintain perfect BMI. BMI is what we go through basically. That's the reference for us.
Mm-hmm.
So if you are overweight or anything, so you will be forced to do certain extra tests. Every year we'll have to do our medical tests. Medical validity is for 1 year again. So every year you will have to do, and it will come with lots and lots of ifs and buts, and there'll be a lot of specifications. If you
Mm-hmm.
have undergone any surgeries, you will have to do it in a specific Air Force center.
Mm-hmm.
And if every fifth renewal and every now the rules have changed, but initially every 5 years you will have to again do it in the Air Force.
Mm-hmm.
So, be it men or women, generally there are few criteria like actually the medical assessment is split into two, class 2 and class 1.
Mm-hmm.
So class 2 will be for initial licensing. It will just to start with flying, you can go ahead and do your class 2,
Mm-hmm.
which will just check the basic, requirements as to whether you're fitting in, or whether you're fulfilling those particular basic requirements.
Yeah.
Class 1 is mandatory for CPL, commercial pilot license issuers. So class 1 would include EEG, ECG, audiometry.
Mm-hmm.
Then if you are overweight, then there will be further tests that will be prescribed.
Yeah.
And if you are women, then there will be other tests. And if you are men, there will be certain prescribed tests.
Mm-hmm.
And these are the common,
Mm-hmm.
tests. Based on complications, they will suggest, more tests. That is specific to individual.
Okay, okay. So, so it's right after your plus two that you started, studying for
Yeah.
CPS, right? So, did you enroll yourself in a training institution that would, help you, or was it like can it be done like self-learning in that way? Can we study by ourselves and give the exams
Mm,
or stuff?
yeah, you can actually, but in my case, what happened was I enrolled in an academy. Whenever you enroll in an academy, you will be asked to sit for a ground class.
Mm-hmm.
So the ground class will anyway cover the theory aspects.
Mm-hmm.
So self-learning, yeah, that can be done at all times. That can be done. Yeah.
Okay, okay. And what kind of mindset, a person would require to go through this grind, You'll be flying,
Mm-hmm.
like there'll be a lot of uncertainty when you are in the air,
Mm-hmm.
yet
Yeah.
you have to take it all in and just go for it. What kind of
Mm.
mindset do you think? It's just
You mean to be a pilot with this profession?
yes, the uncertainty and all with all that.
Okay. Um, the first thing you'll be very surprised, with my answer that people think pilots will need a lot of knowledge and all that.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, yes, but that would not even be part of my list actually, because knowledge is something I think any average person or above average individual can do a very good flying, can develop flying skills. Knowledge, according to me, will of course it's important. I'm not denying that, but there are other aspects. There is scope to improve your knowledge. You do a thing 10 times, 20 times, you will get used to it. There's scope for learning, there's scope for development. But other aspects like, discipline and uh, being honest and your attitude, basically, those things are something that you're born with, or, it's very resistant to changes. That is something, if you do not possess any qualities that are demanding for the profession, you have to change it. So,
Yeah.
with those aspects in mind, first thing is a pilot should be very very passionate about this profession because it's filled with uncertainty. Like there are a lot of students or a lot of people who come and ask me, okay, it takes these many years, so when am I going to end up with a job? So that's something that nobody can answer because half of the time it's not your mistake, but you will be forced to wait for a long period of time to end up with a job. So only a person who is really, really passionate will continue to, survive in this industry. That's one thing. Second thing is being disciplined, being honest. That integrity is very very important. You constantly monitor it. I don't think there's any profession where a person is put into so much of stress and constantly being monitored. Every word that's uttered in the cockpit, everything that you do is being constantly monitored. So anything goes wrong, you have to explain why you did that. You will be questioned. So that thing, there's no way you can come out of it. So you have got to be absolutely disciplined, like So that is one thing. Third thing is to cling on to the profession, and that perseverance is very very important. Patience is very important. In fact, I would put perseverance as the first quality because it might take 1 year, 2 year, 10 years, 15 years. The moment you give up, that's when everything will be fine in the industry. So the moment you have to just stay in the industry and still, try to equip yourself, not forget things that you have learned.
Yeah.
So these are things that are going to be very difficult, but these are the qualities that is required.
Mm.
And nobody can teach these things, and we don't have books to teach. But if a person has these qualities, I think that person will be a wonderful pilot.
Yeah, and the way you said that they are put into so much of stress and monitored at the same time,
Mm-mm.
it kind of brings me the images from the movie Sully, right?
Yeah.
I mean, he was like being constantly asked as to why he
Mm-mm.
took that decision of,
Mm-mm.
landing his aircraft.
Mm-mm.
I think I think that's the kind of like
Mm-mm.
that's the first time I got to see something like that, and I just didn't know that this is how it happens. Like
Mm-mm.
totally process oriented. I just didn't know that.
Mm-mm.
That movie kind of gave an insight into that.
Mm-mm. Yeah.
And so once an aspirant gets his or her license, how could they go about doing their job search? Does having a LinkedIn account help them, like in this process, or?
Unfortunately, no. Maybe maybe it's different for different countries, but keeping India in mind, with the limited airlines that's operating here, in London or any other, there might be posts that might help,
Mm.
but nobody is going to, reach out to candidates through LinkedIn. That's not going to happen.
Mm.
None of the airlines are going to reach out to the candidates.
Mm.
So they will come up with an ad and they will give a deadline, and the candidates, if they're fulfilling the criteria, they should go ahead and apply. That's how it has always been here.
Okay. Mm.
So maybe for charter pilots or specific different aircraft ratings, they might search for pilots like that.
Mm.
But if you are looking for a passenger,
Mm.
pilot, commercial pilot, that's not the way it works, because we have 800, 900 pilots. The requirement is very small.
Mm.
So that's not the way it works in India, at least.
Okay. Okay. And Anagha, like, we've been through this pandemic and it's still going
Mm-mm.
on. Like, another variant has come up and stuff is happening. And we see that aviation industry has in the beginning it was just shut down.
Mm-hmm.
People kind of started losing hope, but
Mm-hmm.
now it's like slowly it's picking up.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think like the future would look like?
I think I have very limited experience to answer that question,
Mm-hmm.
because I do not have any valid data to support whatever
Okay.
I'm going to say.
Mm-hmm.
But I've been in this profession for a very long time,
Mm-hmm.
and since the beginning, I've seen this industry, going up and down, and it will always remain like this, because this industry is very dynamic, and any industry which is going to stagnate and not change itself, there is no scope for development and learning. But aviation is not like that.
Mm-hmm.
So it will forever be like this. There will be ups and there will be downs. But pandemic, my heart somewhere says that there will be a lot of boom. There's a very big void that has been created right now. So it has sucked out all the, resources. Everything is gone now. So thing which goes down has to go up again. What goes up has to come down again. So the peak will again come. And then how, I don't know. I have no valid data, but yes, it does. It will happen. It has to happen, because the industry is such an industry that it cannot just die like that.
Yes. And there has been talks about launching an affordable, airline services. Akasha, they are saying it's in the news. It's been in the news recently. Yeah. So yeah, in future, I think it'll boom like anything. And the one interesting thing that I found in your profile is that you're a psychologist. So I was totally intrigued by that, a pilot and a psychologist. Like, what is this? Like, can you just give us some insights about this new thing that I got to know from you called aviation psychologist?
Yeah, so after my 12th, like I told you, I started my flying.
Mm.
Then after flying, there was a gap again. The industry was not doing well, so I wanted to pursue more and start learn new things.
Mm.
So that's how I ended up with psychology.
Mm.
But initially, to be frank, it was just to you know I just took it to kill some time and
Mm.
just to engage myself. But I was wrong, and that subject had that power to
Mm.
grab all my attention. So I went and did my masters also,
Mm.
and you'll be surprised. We do have a separate paper called human factors, which is covered under regulations.
Oh.
So there's separate chapter which deals with human physiology, psychology,
Mm.
crew management, everything, decision making.
Mm.
So certain illusions that happens during flying. So
Yeah.
all these aspects, how thinking, learning, all motivation, all these kind of concepts are also covered in that.
Mm.
So and there is a separate uh, study, I would say branch of psychology
Mm.
called aviation psychology, which will completely, deal with the ergonomics, how the cockpit layout is designed,
Mm.
why it's chosen that way, why the seating is chosen this way, why are we using certain lights and not this light.
Mm.
So everything, the human psychologist taken so much into consideration in all aspects, including the design.
Mm.
And even the training is given in such a way that they always consider what the limitations are basically taken into account. So that's one thing. It's a beautiful, like
Mm.
the combination of two beautiful subjects.
Yes.
So that's one thing. Even
That.
otherwise, psychology had always helped me throughout my life.
Mm.
So that's one thing.
Yeah, sure. And finally, I've come across your initiative called Reach Cactus 1549,
Mm-hmm.
wherein you'll be training other aspirants.
Mm-hmm.
Firstly, I'm intrigued about this title. Can you give us a little background?
Okay, that's the aircraft that Sully was flying. That's the registration. Cactus 1549.
Oh.
So he's my inspiration. I'm very inspired by his integrity and his skills, and as a pilot, the kind of professionalism that's shown.
Exactly.
So that's something not from the movie. A movie will have a lot of aspects that are not covered in real life. But in real life, when you get to know about the things that have there were a lot of changes that were brought in after that incident, for example.
Mm-hmm.
So that is one thing which I really admire about him. So I was searching for a title, and I thought I will go with this one. This was the aircraft that he was flying.
Okay.
So and yeah.
So you will be like teaching aspirants or the aviation subjects or the theoretical aspects mainly.
Yeah, mostly I would be helping students who are giving their DGC exams to clear CPL exams.
Okay.
So that would basically cover only four main core subjects. So I'm sticking only to four main subjects. And I'm only sticking to CPL aspirants. So
Okay. Okay, that's really interesting. Anagha, anything else you'd like to share with our listeners about anything in general?
To all those aspirants who want to fly, I think it's a tough time, but I would want them to be very positive.
Mm-hmm.
Things are not going to be the same forever. It will change, and this industry is something that I can promise that which will never die. So never ever give up. That's one thing that's a no for this profession.
Yeah. All right. Thanks a lot, Anagha. Thanks for sharing so much of.
Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you. Take
Bye.
care. Yeah.